that what they call a crotch rocket?
Mystery Science Theater 3000, Episode 11 of Season 1, Moon 02. Yes, it's another science fiction one about the moon. We just had that a few episodes ago, Project Moonbase. But this one is quite a bit better. It's in color, it's from 1969, and it's touted as one of the first space westerns. Well, I've been covering Cowboy Bebop. I like space westerns, but their version of a space western is, well, throwing it a cheap saloon. So we'll see if the Mystery Science Theater crew can save us on this one. One thing I've noticed with how Season 1 has been starting off, they do these prologues, where they play the intro song, and then Joel has about 1 minute to do some type of skit, and they're almost always bad before it goes to an obvious commercial. And this will change later in the seasons, and I think it's kind of unfair for them to throw in so many commercial breaks when he doesn't have any time to actually do a skit. So in this one, he asks people to go to the refrigerator to get a snack. I like a lot of the skits in Mystery Science Theater 3000, but the prologue skits that are, let me time it. In fact, I timed the length of the skit. It's actually 40 seconds. They give him 40 seconds to do a skit before they hit commercial.
Go during the commercial, make a snack while you're digging in the refrigerator.
That's unfair. Joel, I feel for you. I'm glad they changed this later on. And we get the first invention exchange, where Joel has drive-by food that teleports food directly into your stomach. And the Maz have Pez dispensers. Inventions are sometimes unique, not very practical, but we're on episode 11, and it would be nice to develop the characters a little bit more. Because I actually really like seeing the interaction between Joel and the mad scientists. Especially since Josh Weinstein only has 3 more episodes to go before he completely leaves the series, and in Season 2 is replaced by TV's Frank. Tell us more about them. We get to learn so much more about the mad scientist and his mother in the later seasons. But it's Season 1. They're still getting their footing. And they're sent into the theater, and we have no shorts this time. The movie itself is exactly 100 minutes, so plenty long enough for them to cover this hour-and-a-half episode. And we get actually a cool intro, an animated intro.
Tunes?
Is this Peculiar Clark singing?
Peculiar Clark.
And this looks a lot like Schoolhouse Rock. In fact, the same guy who made this animation was the same guy who did the Yellow Submarine for the Beatles. So we're off to a pretty decent start. Are things going to get wacky? You know they are. So we are in the year of 2021. May of 2021. Wow. And the moon has been colonized. Well, it's in the process of being colonized. They're trying to colonize it. And unlike a lot of science fiction movies, this one actually does take place on the moon for the majority of the movie. Thank God. It's not a bunch of people screwing around in an office and then going to the moon 10 minutes before the movie ends. We actually get to see a literal moon base, unlike Project Moonbase. But it definitely loses focus. The main plot is that a millionaire named Hubbard hears about an asteroid made of pure sapphire. And he's going to hire some people to catch this asteroid made of sapphire. And he'll be rich. Well, he's already rich, but he'll be richer.
He's got the Nintendo Power Glove there. Hey, Thumbelina.
Sorry.
And obviously, you can use this giant sapphire to do what? Rocket engine thermal insulators. Of course. So they can colonize some of the other planets like Mercury and Jupiter. Well, you see some cool scenes at the end where they're fighting actually on the moon. The lead up to get there is a little mind-boggling. People were using some chemical altering substances in the 60s, and you get scenes like this where people are just dancing.
Pretty soon they'll get those big foam We're Number One hands.
Get some armor all around here.
Hey, it's the same dance with different hats, but it's a completely different experience.
So this is the western part. There's a saloon inside this moon base, and there's people dancing the entire time. When there's a fight in this base, there's still people dancing. When there's people talking, there's still people dancing. It is visually a bit interesting, so at least if there's a boring plot point, you can just see in the back there's people in cowboy hats dancing, so you can just look at them instead of trying to pay attention to the movie. And we get quite a few clever quips on this one. One funny thing that I noticed is Mike Nelson, the guy who replaces Joel, actually mentions, as we see here in the Amazing Colossal episode guide, I have to get that book, that this film did not make a significant impression on the writers or performers. When he was collecting the staff's thoughts and memories, no one had any strong recollections of this episode, and he jokingly claimed that it is considered by the staff to be a hoax. It is interesting that of season 1, this is the one that they would forget, because I actually think this is the best episode so far in season 1. But Joel himself has said that he doesn't consider season 1 very good at all, and actually would recommend people to skip it. But we're not skipping it, because we're covering every single episode. But season 2 really kicks it into high gear, and that's classic episodes like Side Hackers. And while there really isn't a classic great episode from season 1, but this is the best one so far. And luckily, it looks like the Amazing Colossal episode guide is still not very expensive. You never know with these books from a long time ago with niche shows. Usually, books don't ever hold their value, but something like this could. But no, you can get it for $10. I did find some scans of some of the later ones. It looks like they give you a movie summary, talk about the segments, and they give some thoughts reflecting on the episode. A lot of stuff you can find on the internet now, but this came out in 1996, so that would have been useful in 1996. And maybe still a good collector's item. I think I will buy it. And showed in another video. So back to the movie.
It'll still be the same in the 25th.
We're almost walking off the set. Would you mind going the other way?
Yes, they did find a blooper. Let's zoom in here. Yeah, that looks like that's the whiteboard that's holding up the set. And we got some, what, WD-40? Is that a soda? I'm not sure what that stuff is, but that's 100% a mistake.
It's the original Space Mountain, what do you know? And look, the line's still long.
Let's see the comparison. Space Mountain in Disney World, which I have ridden, and he's right, the line was extremely long. The longest line I've ever waited in, at least for a roller coaster. 2 hours to be exact. But it approximately looks like it. I'm fact-checking their jokes, and I give this one a B+. They do have a funny host segment where Crow and Tom argue about which woman in the movie is most attractive.
Like the gator-headed chick.
The one with the eel-skin skull cap? No way! Ugh! Botto a botto!
Hey, come on.
And they end it with them saying one good thing and one bad thing about the movie. Overall, I think this movie is quite good. It's watchable. It's a lot of 60s goofiness. It's convoluted as hell. Like there's a villain that you see halfway through and you basically don't see him until the end. Lose track with all the dancing that they're supposed to be getting this sapphire asteroid, but it's all good. Just take some LSD and be like, whoa, bro, things are getting groovy. The second to last episode of Season 1 is Untamed Youth, which we'll be covering next week. It's a 1957 exploitation movie, a little bit. Mystery Science Theater crew does a great job with exploitation movies like Sinister Urge. Quite as bawdy and outrageous, but still kind of fun. These episodes are getting better. And then the last episode is The Black Scorpion, and then we move on to episode 2. So stay tuned for that. And also check out our playlist for the other series we've covered: Black Mirror, Mystery Science Theater 3000, of course, Fear Itself, Monsters, Tales from the Dark Side, Pet Shop of Horrors, and Cowboy Bebop. Thanks a lot.